because those hot jars, and they're wet when they come out, they will leave a mark. They'll leave a mark on your cutting board. I mean, it'll go away over time. You can sand it out. I really don't want to sand it out. So this is what I have these old towels for. And because it's wood, I'm going to do 3 of these. Getting these on here straight. Where's my other ugly towel? Oh, I'm using that one. Oh, here's one of them. These are my berry picking towels. These are the towels I dry my berries on. You can tell because they have all the little polka dotted, dots where the berries sat after I washed them. Whew, it is warm in here. Oh, thank you, I do too. I'm thinking about putting a green light on the floor and then putting a witch in there for Halloween or something like that. I figured that'd be kind of fun to do. We're in a 3rd floor apartment, some days the AC, oh my gosh. Yeah, it's warm. It's like really warm in here right now. Like I should probably hydrate. Hydrate yourself, Kanara. Shall do. 3 minutes. We get to take it out. And then I'll take a break, and we'll go find somebody to raid. Then I'll take a break, and I'll probably finish canning this evening when it's cool and I can open up the window. So I'll probably be canning at about 9 o'clock tonight when it's cooler. I know I love some of the burger recipes. First of all, that's one of my favorite foods. I will have my. So if you guys haven't already, there's the Discord. You can join the Discord. I will have my schedule posted in there. On August 4th, I will be doing a charity stream for Direct Relief. So please look for that. I'm streaming at my normal time. My time will be from 12 to 2 for the charity stream, but I'll probably be going a little bit longer on that. It's a wonderful, wonderful charity that I'm proud to be part of. Kitchen Confidence is also going to be streaming. Woo, thank you for that follow UFO beam. An unidentified flying beam. Ow, right in the eye. Dude, seriously, no. I wish we had a place where everybody could log on and put in why their name, their online persona is the name that they are. I think that would be such a fun thing to know, because some of these names, we have Spank My Betty, Madam Rainbow Pants. We have some really fun names out there. I like to know kind of who they are. Wunderhubisch? Or is it Wonderhubisch? Hubisch? Wunder? Yes, do that in Discord. I could do that. Have everybody just post their names and post their stories. I just think it's kind of a fun thing. So for those of you who are just joining in, and this may make you unfollow me, which I hope it doesn't. My name Kanara, I have been using it as my online persona since technically 1988, but not in full force until 1989. And back then, they didn't call it cosplay, but back then I would dress up as a full battle Klingon from Star Trek Next Generation Klingon. And we would go to the conventions. We were hired, my particular group was hired to open up the Hilton. I think it was 1992 was the Hilton. When the Hilton in Las Vegas, their entire theme became Star Trek, so that was kind of fun to do. So Kanara is my Klingon name. So, okay, so I shouldn't have given it away. I gave it away in 2012. I had a homemade batleth that I had made, but it wasn't a metal batleth, it was a wood batleth to make it lighter to carry, because carrying a metal one through a convention, and I actually had it signed by Michael Dorn. I have had the greatest pleasure of meeting, having lunch with, having drinks with every cast member on both the original Star Trek and Next Gen. That's something I can say. I am a Trekkie. And it was it was a lot of fun. It was a time in my life that I really enjoyed doing, and then I've met them all. Matter of fact, I have. I'd have to go find it. It's in my stash of some of my memorabilia stuff from way back in the day. My husband was a California Highway Patrol officer, and at the time we were in the high desert, the Barstow area, which is the main route going into Las Vegas. And one of his fellow officers came in and says, "Man, you're not going to believe who I just pulled over," and hands him so the tickets it was white, went to the court, green went to the driver, pink went to the station, yellow was filed with someplace else. But they always told you to press hard, you're making 4 copies. And he brought home the green slip. I have the green to the pink. I don't remember which one I have. He pulled over William Shatner. The dude was doing 125 miles an hour. Come on, that's just a little excessive if you ask me. Little excessive, if you ask me. Yes, I have met Patrick Stewart. I have met Patrick Stewart. Way, way back. Again, this would probably be 1992. One of the guys who was in my group, Paul, he was licensed and bonded also as a bounty hunter too. It's not what he did for his career. He kind of did that on the side and whatever. And he was bonded, and we started a security company called Body Armor. So we were like security, type people, whatever. And we were hired at one point, by the people who promoted the big conventions down in Pasadena. And so I've been backstage with all of them. Oh, come on, lift. Whew. Not one of those pinged. Oh, one did. Maybe two. But again, if they do, they do. If they don't, they don't. And don't let it frustrate you, because like I said, all this can be frozen. You can even put this into a big baggie and freeze it. Come on, I can get that jar out. Put you here. Put you here. There we go. Kanara, thank you for teaching about canning and nectar. Oh, I hope it does too, or Heather, thank you so much. Now that I know, this one I know is not going to seal. Here, look at this. Let's use this as a teaching moment, folks. I did not get all the air out of that jar, and look at all that air that's going to be inside there. This will never seal. That one will never, ever seal. And like I said, these are just for eating. These are not pie fillings, just like those ones that are in there. And I can process those in there. I just have to bring the sauce that's in there, the liquid temperature, the liquid that's in there up to temperature. Oop, let's bring these out together. So this one, hear that hollow sound? That hollow sound, and I can see that the lid, I put that lid over here, didn't I? Hold that thought. I'm going to get one of these lids here so I can show you guys again. So there's these little indicator tabs. I don't know if it'll show up on the camera. Let me dry that off a little bit. There's like these little indicator tabs. Can you see that little indentation that sticks up? When it seals, it gets pushed down. It becomes concave. So that little, I don't know if you can hear that on there. But this one, sealed, 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 sealed. No. No, that one, I'm going to put a W on that one. When you test it to see if it's going to seal, don't tap on the bubble, because you can force the bubble down, and it might not have been ready to go down yet. So that one's going to get a W. And that's canning. That is canning nectarines, pie fillings, and so we got. This one's going to be a watch. So far these. This one I don't think is going to seal. That one is a watch. Oh wait, we know that one might not seal either. That one did. Okay, but look at it. See, here's the thing I was telling you guys. Do you see all the liquid in the bottom, and how much fruit is at the top? That's what happens with raw pack. But you can use that. You can use that juice. That juice is fantastic. Like I said, in iced teas, it's wonderful for making salad dressings. So don't pour that down the drain. We have our pie filling. Actually, I'm going to put this one over here. You notice I'm lifting these straight up and straight down. I'm not tilting these. I'm not, picking this up like this and going, oh, I can get this over here and tilting. I'm picking them straight up and straight down. So these are all sealed and done. This one here, I'm watching because I may not have pinged it right, which means I'm going to put a W on it. And a couple of days, I'm going to see if that's going to pop up on its own. If it does pop up, and remember, when these completely cool, you're going to let these sit now undisturbed for 24 hours. And when it gets completely cooled, you're going to take the rings off. Ooh, my goodness gracious, it's so warm in here. You're going to take the rings off, particularly because these were kind of sugary. You can wash them in just warm water, rinse them real good, dry them off real good, and then store them in your pantry. If you store them in a cool, dark place, they're going to last even longer. They're going to retain more nutrients. They're going to taste better. I didn't think I could love you more, but I do now. Aw, boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. No, I have not met Douglas Shanklin. You go teach us a canning. Yes. You know what? You want to know what I can honestly say? The coolest one, James Doohan, hands down, the most fun of all of them to meet. The one that I thought would be the biggest pompous, arrogant individual was William Shatner, and he turned out to be, hey, come on in, sit down, have a seat. Hey, we're getting some sandwiches. You want a sandwich? Just gracious, beyond gracious. Patrick Stewart is aloof, but he's very friendly. He's very friendly. But James Doohan, holy cow. So they had on hand for him in his dressing room, waiting room, because it wasn't really a dressing room, it was more of a waiting room, his scotch in there, and we went up, knock on the door, Mr. Doohan, are you ready to go out on stage? And, we'd escort them out on stage and the whole bit. He's like, come on in, and sat down and poured us both a shot of scotch. I'm like, yeah, no. I miss them all a lot. It was a good buddy of mine. He passed away about 8 months ago. He was in Star Trek Chips. Oh my gosh, Chips is still popular, I guess, in several different countries. And my husband was a Chips. Do you put the rings back on after you wash them? Men in rainbow pans, no. The rings will stay off. So anytime I store all my canned goods, I have 2 pantries. This is one pantry and I have another pantry in there. But I don't have anything in here canned to show you. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Well, we're going to pretend like these are canned pecans, which they're not. You store them just like this. That lid, if it's going to fail, you want it to fail. So if you go to your pantry and you go to lift this up and this lid comes off like this, it's not sealed. Air has gotten in here, bacteria is now growing in here, and you know to discard that. But when you pick this up, it's on there. You can't move it. It's like jams and jellies. Sometimes I can pry jams and jellies off with my finger because there's not as tight of a vacuum because it's only a 1/4 of an inch headspace. We're talking a minute amount of headspace, so the vacuum isn't quite there. I cannot do that with, say, I happen to have one over here. Let's going to show people this one. I cannot do that with a jar of tuna. A jar of tuna I have to use, and it's like, and you'll hear that whole suction of air, and I'm sorry, that was probably super, super loud, and you'll hear that air really sucking into that jar. But that's a can of tuna. That's home canned tuna. Looks like a science experiment gone bad, doesn't it? But it's the best tasting tuna everywhere. I guarantee you, if I were to give you a taste test of tuna, of canned tuna in the store, and that tuna, you will pick that tuna for the rest of your life. I have not purchased a can of tuna in the store since 2010. That was the last time I ever bought a can of tuna. It's the last time I've ever bought a can of, because you can get canned chicken, which is good for chicken salad sandwiches and stuff like that if you don't have time to boil a chicken breast or chicken thighs. I have not bought canned tuna or canned chicken since 2010, ever. Ever, ever, ever. Yes, Whoopi Goldberg, Will Wheaton, have met them all. I should say all the main stars in the whole bit. Whoopi is not big on chatting. She won't talk to you. She wasn't rude. You ask her how your day is. She'll say fine, but she's not going to initiate conversation and doesn't want to talk to anybody. But that's her. Everybody. You don't know what's going on in somebody's life. You don't know. Maybe she's having a really bad day. Maybe somebody passed away or whatever. I'm not going to judge people. They didn't talk to me. They must be horrible people. Whatever. People are going to talk to you or they're not going to talk to you. I'm a chatty Cathy. I don't know if you guys have picked up on that. I can sit here and have a conversation with myself. And my daughter hates it because sometimes I'll have a conversation with myself and then I'll say something that I think is just the funniest thing on the planet and I'll just lose it. See, it's a great thing. You're never lonely, Wilson. You're never lonely. You've got your own, you tell the best jokes. You're always right. Even when you're wrong, you're always right, It's a great thing. So I can't complain about that. Enough about canning. Let's talk about Star Trek. What do you want to know about Star Trek? It's I will say, hang on, move this towel over here. Oop. Let's dip this in some water and mop the brow, shall we? Let's mop the brow. I used to watch the original Star Trek, with my dad. That was kind of our thing. That and, oh my gosh, the Planet of the Apes. Love, love, love that. I have never heard of home canned tuna. best stuff on the planet. It's time consuming though. It's time consuming. Not so much in the prepping, because when we get the fish from the coast, the fishermen go out and catch it. They're out there for, well, it depends. If the fish are right offshore, they go out like midnight, and they'll fish for like 15 hours. The fish comes back to the coast that we've ordered. The guy goes out, he picks it all up for us, ice chest with ice and everything, brings it back in, and it's all packaged up. Okay, Kanar, here's your 60 pounds of tuna. Bring it in, and I'm canning it right then and there. So it was caught that morning, packed. And this, I want to see how much this weighs, because this has got the jar with it, so I'm just kind of curious. Let's see how much this weighs. Oh, I just hit. I'm like, why isn't that coming on? Yeah, okay, that's about right. So the jar weighs about a half a pound with nothing in it. So you can get in 1 pint jar, that's a pound of tuna. And you pack this in, man. I mean, you are packing it in, and you're packing it down to here. So you're not, all this has to be, and this liquid, you see that liquid that's in the jar? I don't know if you can, there we go. You see all that, gosh darn it. Okay. I don't know if you can, there. Can you see that liquid sloshing around in there? That's not water added. That's juice from the tuna that comes out of the tuna. That's the only change that came in on the tuna, is that now they recommend you par cook it. Put your par cooked fish in there. When I say par cook it, you put it in an oven at 400 degrees for like 8 minutes, if that. It's just a draw, just to get a seal on the outside to kind of keep some of that, and then you pack it in there, and then you top it off with stock or water or whatever you want. You can put garlic water in there or whatever you want to put in. Did the tuna get cooked in the jar? Yes, the tuna is 100% fully cooked, because it's processed in a pressure canner, and the time that it's processed in there. So let's look at the whole process of a pressure canner, particularly with tuna. Because a lot of people think, well, how's it getting cooked if you're putting it in there raw and it's a big hunk of fish that's being, and man, you are packing it in as tight as you can, versus these other things. We want the viscosity, we want the circulation. Then it's going into a pressure canner. Lid is locked on. The weight's not put on yet. You're bringing the pressure canner up to a boil. You hear that it's boiling. Steam is now venting from the petcock, and that steam has to vent for a full 10 minutes. So you know the temperature in that canner already is 212 degrees for 10 minutes, just in the venting. After it vents for 10 minutes, you put the weight on the top. Now there's no steam coming out. All that heat now is now accumulating, and it's building, and it's building, and it's building. And during that time, slowly, the pressure starts to go up. And you'll start to watch, and on your gauge, you watch your needle going up, or if you have the wiggle weight, it'll sit there and start wiggling. And once it comes up to pressure, and that can take 15 to 30 minutes. So all that time, that fish is still cooking. Once it comes up to pressure, and you're like, okay, the pressure is good, my gauge is reading right where I need it to be, or my wiggle weight's doing exactly what I need it to do, then you set your timer for 100 minutes. That's an hour and 40 minutes, folks. 100 minutes, an hour and 40 minutes. That tuna is now processing at 240 degrees. Oh, but wait, there's more. At the end of the processing time, ding, 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 it's been an hour and 40 minutes, and your tuna is now done. You turn the fire off, and you wait 5 minutes. No, not 5 minutes. No. You turn the fire off, and then you wait. And it can be anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes before the pressure comes down to 0. But wait, when the pressure comes down to 0, you take the weight off. And you make sure your locking, you want to make sure your pressure says 0. So your gauge should be reading 0. Your locking mechanism drops back down, so you know that it's no longer under pressure, which causes that lock to pop up. You take the petcock off. We're allowing a little bit more steam to come out of that petcock for 5 minutes. You crack the lid, and then after another 5 minutes, then you take the lid off. You wait another 5 minutes. Now we're allowing the jars to acclimate to the heat and everything. Then you take the jars out. So tuna is a very long process. So when you make tuna, you're not making 2 jars of tuna. I have my tall canner that I can stack 2 of these on top, 8 and 8, so I can get 16 pints of tuna in my one canner, my one pressure canner, and I can get 9 pints, because it's a shorter canner, I can't stack them, but it's wider, and 9 pints in the other. I can get 27 pints done in one batch, but it takes several hours. So I gotta do it in 2 different batches. When does the lid get put on? Before you put it into the canner. So you're stuffing the tuna in there, You're packing it down as tight as you possibly can. You're making sure you're at the right level. You're wiping your jar really good. That's when we wipe it with the vinegar, because the vinegar takes off any fat residue that might be on that rim from when you were packing it. You put your lid on, you put your ring on, you're putting it into your pressure canner, and then you're locking the pressure canner, letting it come up to a boil, and then starting that whole process that I just mentioned. So it's a long process, and that's why I'll have 2 canners going. And we have sometimes we have tuna canning parties. So these two back here are definitely a no-see. And then, like I said, it can take 24 hours for these to seal, but you will find after doing this for years and years and years, you know which ones are going to seal and which ones aren't. You can just look at them and go, "That's not going to seal."